This is a crimping tool. This is a networks engineer's best friend, so to speak, because with this you can cut, you can slice, you can crimp, and you can do everything basically you need to get done using cables. A very interesting piece of hardware. It must have for every network technician or network engineer, as the case may be. We're going to be using the crimping tool right now to terminate a Cat6 cable. These are what we refer to as RJ45 connectors. They basically make it possible for the cable to fit in here and connect to the corresponding ports, either on a switch or on the network interface card of a computer. I'm going to explain what a switch is and what the network interface card is later on in this episode. But all we're interested in right now is to get our cables terminated with the RJ45 connectors so that it can both connect to a switch and to the network interface card of our device. This is a piece of a Cat6 cable. Like I said earlier, the cat simply means category, and the numbers after the cat just simply tells you what kind of cable it is. As the number associated with the cat increases, the cable actually becomes thicker and it can be used for more rugged operations. Cat6 cables are actually recommended, though this is an indoor one, because they support gigabit network. I'll also explain what that means much more later in these video tracks. So, the first task is to terminate this cable properly. As a network technician or engineer, you are going to be terminating hundreds of these cables, either as patch cords, or you'll be terminating one end to face plates and the other end to patch panels. Networking is broad, it's huge. We're going to do our best to see and ensure that we cover this entire process extensively. So, using your crimping tool, you'd slice around the cable carefully. There is a cut here. There's a part of this tool that has a hole here, and the hole actually enables you putting the cable this way carefully, close it down. Notice it's actually not cutting the cable because there's actually a hole where the cable sits on. So if I turn my crimping tool around nicely, I'm not holding it down too tight or completely, I held it down to the point whereby it gives this cable a cut. I didn't do that properly, so I'm going to try again. I'm trying to be careful so I don't damage the strands inside the cable. So I'll put it back in the hole, then I'll close, then I'll turn it around so the blade can actually cut the protective rubber. And so, you see that? It cuts the rubber without harming the strands inside. So I'm going to take this off. And then I have exposed the strands. Now if you notice, there are actually 8 strands inside here and there's something like a dental flux. This dental flux can actually be referred to as a cable ripper because you can actually use it to expose more portions of the cable by pulling downwards, but I'm not going to use that right now. I'll use my crimping tools to also cut this part of the cable off. It's basically not useful, it's just used to align the strands together. So in here, we notice we have 8 strands and they are grouped into 4 colors. So we have the orange and orange white. We have the blue and the blue white, and then we have the green and the green white. We have the brown and the brown white. Each and every one of these cables play a very important role as regards data communication. I'll be explaining what each and every one of these strands does in later episodes. But for now, our task is to successfully connect these cables with this RJ45 connector and use our crimping tool to crimp it so it stays permanent and it can be used to connect a computer to a switch or a computer to another computer, as the case may be. There are several standards via which these cables are arranged before termination. There's the standard A and there's the standard B. But right now, what we're going to be making use of is the standard B. And I'm going to call out the colors respectfully as they should be arranged. So in the standard B, we have the orange, white, which comes first. Then we have the orange, which comes second. So I'm going to arrange them side by side and hold them together. So I've put in the orange and the orange white. So the next I'm going to be bringing close is the green white. Never mind, I actually cut the green white and it's shorter than the others, but never mind, because at the end of the day I'm still going to trim all of them. So the next is we have the orange and the orange white. Then we have the green white, right, which is the third. So once again we have the orange white and the orange, and next we have the green. Then we'll follow it with the blue. I'll tell you why, but basically this is the standard B arrangement. After the blue white, after the blue, we go for the blue white and then green. I'm sure you thought it was supposed to be orange white, orange, green white, green. No. For the standard B, it is not so. Even for the standard A, they don't come along just the way they are arranged. They actually follow a strict rule. This is so because networking spans around the entire globe. So you need to follow the standard, because you might find yourself doing a networking in Nigeria, you might find yourself doing a network in Ghana, you might find yourself doing a network in America. Wherever you go, the standards are universal. So once you are deploying your network, you must ensure you are either using the standard A or the standard B arrangement. But from my own experience, I realized that the standard B is a lot more common, and that is the arrangement I'm giving you. So chances are, when you walk into a network environment and you need to create a patch cord or you need to expand the network, chances are it will be a standard B type of cable arrangement. I'll show you how to verify what kind of standard it is as the video progresses. So then we have the brown, white, and brown. So I'll go over the color arrangement once again. If you have your pen and your paper, you can actually take this arrangement down. We have the orange, white, and the orange. So in a nutshell, you can actually get a piece of paper and write out the colors accordingly. Let me get a piece of paper, just a second. So in a nutshell, we can have this kind of arrangement. So you have your 8 strands of the cables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the orange, white, then the orange, then the green, white, and the blue. The blue, white, and the green. The brown, white, and the brown. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 strand. So this is the type A arrangement. You have the orange, white, the orange, the green, white, and followed by the blue, the blue, white, followed by the green, and the green followed by the brown, white. So the brown, white, then you have the full brown, and that is the exact arrangement I actually have here right now. So after arranging this cable together, from your first few trials you might make a mistake, but never mind. It was difficult like this for everyone, but as time goes on, practice over and over again, I'm sure you're going to get it right. Once you have the arrangements correct and you hold firmly, you trim using this portion, this blade. You trim so the entire cables become uniform. So you see I just trimmed, so the entire cable is uniform. I'm still holding firm, I don't want to lose my grip. I'll get my RG45 connector and I would insert it nice and neat. Just push it in, careful, don't panic. Push it right to the end. Make sure it is firm. You can actually look on the top here and make sure that all the cables actually get to the end. You can also still look from the side. Make sure that all the cables get to the end, to this copper portion. Because once we crimp, this copper portion is going to hold down the cables and ensure that there's a proper contact. So after ensuring that, I'm going to put it in my crimping tool. Still forcing the cable in. I'm not going to let go of the cable just yet. So still pushing the cable in as firm as I can. When I'm sure it is in properly, comes out all the way to the end here, then I'll crimp. You hear that click sound? So I'll bring out my cable, and there you go, properly terminated. So if you look, all the cables actually get to the end, they all get to the top, so it means the cable is properly terminated and the contacts are done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. This is actually a straight through cable. A straight through cable is the kind of cable you use to connect a device with a switch, two devices that are not common, right? But if you're connecting two common devices, use a crossover cable. I'm going to come back and show you how to do a crossover cable. But for most of the network you actually see, whereby there's a patch cord either connecting to a faceplate on the wall, or there's a patch cord running into a switch. I'll show you what a switch is shortly. Or the one end of the cable is running into the computer and the other end is running into the switch. Then we'll make use of the straight through cable. Very common, we hardly use the crossover cable because the crossover cable will come into play when there's no switch and when you want to connect two like devices directly. But this, what we just did here, is called the straight through. So the same thing you do on the first side is the same thing you're going to do on the other side for a straight through cable. But for a crossover cable, both ends are actually different. One end is the standard, then the other end is reversed. All right, straight through cable done. Understand the concept. Now I'm going to show you how to confirm if you have terminated this straight through cable correctly.